When it comes to a job search, most of us have this very question of should I work for a startup versus should I work for a big company, right? So today I'm going to give you the differences between working for a startup versus working for a big company so that you can make a right choice when you are choosing your company. Hello everyone. Welcome to another exciting week with me Ram aka Sprint Master. If you are just graduating and if you are actively looking for a job, every day you come across many job postings. Out of these job postings, some of the job postings are from the companies you know and you hear about them a lot, while the others you may have never heard of them. While most of the companies that you have already heard comes under the category of big companies or established companies, the rest of the companies doesn't fall under startup companies. So what exactly is a startup? First, let us try to understand that. Everyone has their own interpretation of what a startup is. Well, most of us are right in one way or the other. Basically, a startup is a company started by one or more entrepreneurs and is trying to solve a unique problem or trying to build a unique product that doesn't exist in the market yet and is trying to raise the funding for this business to grow fast. Basically, they just have the idea and they are just starting out and they don't have a lot of revenue being generated. Ultimately, they don't have the many customers who are using that product yet, and they are trying to sell this product fast or sell this service fast so that they can scale big and grow big. Usually these companies have a bigger vision, and obviously any company has a bigger vision, and they are just in the starting phase of that realizing that bigger vision. Also, a startup will usually have a very less headcount. It may vary between the companies, but usually it is less than 50 employees. And if it is in the early phase of a startup, it can be very less, like 5 to 20 employees to begin with. Now that we understand what a startup is, let us try to understand our topic of discussion here, working for a startup versus working for a big company. The number one difference between working for a startup versus working for a big company comes with your responsibilities. So if you're working for a big company, most of the times your responsibilities are well defined, and all you have to do is you have to follow those guidelines and meet those requirements to succeed in your career. For example, if you're hired for a software engineer, you are expected to write code, do the debugging, and solve for a business use case, some and implement certain specific functionalities, some things like that. So a software engineer position is well defined. But if you are working for a startup, on the other hand, even if you are hired as a software engineer, sometimes you may have to step into the role of project manager and talk with your customers to gather the requirements. And after gathering the requirements, you have to implement them. And after implementing them, sometimes you may have to even market your product to get that product succeeded. So usually, so that is the major difference. Like if you're in a work big company, most of the times your role is well defined and you have a single path you go for. But with a startup, you may have to switch between these responsibilities and easily adapt to this new responsibilities and be agile and be flexible with your role. So if you are not that type of a guy, then startup might not be a good choice for you. The other major difference is less guidance. So when you are working for a big company and you come across some problem, most of the times some employee of that company has already previously solved this problem. But on the other hand, if you're working for a startup company, you don't have many employees to begin with, right? So you don't have much of a guidance there, and you have to solve those problems on your own. This can be with any coding problem, or this can be actually solving a business use case itself. Like the requirements from the user comes very vaguely, and based on those requirements, you have to interpret and you have to build a functionality which satisfies those requirements as well as which fits into your long-term goal of the product, right? So with a big company, there will be processes like you have some design discussions with all the senior engineers or the project managers, and there is a whole team involved in that, and you discuss with them and come up with those the way you want to implement these functionalities. And some of the other engineers might have good insights into like how they want to do it, and that might shape up the product in a right way. And you This is what I'm talking about. So you have some guidance from your team or some your project managers or from your senior engineers, someone from the company, you have some guidance. But on the other hand, if you are working for a startup, you don't have this kind of guidance, and all you have to do is you have to search through the internet. You have to put your intelligence through and try to solve this business use case or the coding problems you are facing, and solve this problem by yourself. So if you are someone who is more interested in these kind of challenges and want to solve these kind of challenges, then startup is a right fit for you, and go for a startup, and that has a lot of things to offer for you. And the other major difference is between the working hours. So for a big company, usually when the requirements are coming from the customer, there is a project management team who takes up those requirements, and they build a timeline on when they want to deliver this product. For example, they want to build some functionality. The project management team, they consider the development time, they consider the testing time, and also they consider some kind of a buffer time in between to have this solid timeline, and they communicate the same with the client and have the right expectations set to meet that timeline. Usually when they are counting this developer time or the testing time, they do that based on the headcount they have to solve this problem. And even if they have less headcount, obviously they pull in people from other teams to build this product to meet those timelines. On the other hand, if you're working for a startup, usually startups doesn't have revenue generated, as I have previously mentioned, right? And they are trying to grab as many customers as fast as possible. So in that case, what they end up doing is like they agree with whatever the timelines the customer has set, and they try to meet those deadlines. If they want to meet those deadlines, or ultimately you have to put in more effort from your end to meet those deadlines, right? So in the big company's case, since all the development time, all of this timeline is previously set, and they usually consider only 8 hours a day work. So you can expect a solid timeline like a 9 to 6 job or something like that. But in the startup, on the other hand, since these timelines are changing rapidly, and you have to adapt to that, so you might have to put in some extra hours during the nights to meet up to those deadlines. And also, if you have some additional responsibilities, like even if you are a software engineer and you are working with some kind of a marketing stuff, you might have to put in some extra effort from your end. So working hours are kind of a solid in big company, but on the other hand, if it is a startup, then it is a little flexible, and it can change a lot. So based on your preferences, like if you want a solid work time, then big company might be a good fit for you rather than a startup company. And number four, cost of a mistake. So when you're working for a small company, obviously you don't have many customers, right? So you have a little bit of a wriggle room to experiment on the stuff you're doing and choose the approach which works best in your case. So with this experimentation, obviously you can grow your skills, and you can have wider vision, and you can establish yourself in a good position to see all the possible outcomes with your experimentation, and that can define your career, right? But on the other hand, if you're working for a big company, uh, you cannot do such kind of experimentation. I mean, you can do a little bit of experimentations, but that cannot exceed, and that cannot impact the customers, because these big companies, they have built a brand name, right? And when you make some kind of these experiments, and if that fails, the brand name is at stake, and the company won't tolerate it. So when you're working for a big companies, the chance of experimentation is a little bit lower, because you have to get approvals from multiple levels, and there are many people involved in that single decision you are taking, right? So yeah, the chance of experimentation is a little bit low, versus in a startup, there aren't many people working along with you, and there aren't many customers, so you can do a little bit of experimentation and grow your skills and build your career based off that. That if you're interested in such kind of a wiggle room, then startup might be a good choice for you rather than a big company. And number five, speed of delivery. So in a big company, usually there are multiple layers of the organization, right? And you may belong to one of those layers, in between, and there may be some people working above you and there may be some people working below you. If there are some people working above you, obviously for any decision you want to make, you have to go through multiple levels of approvals, and with that approvals only, then you can start building and deliver the product, right? On the other hand, if it is a startup, there aren't many layers. Like each and every employee working for the startup is kind of like well versed, and they are already working on different responsibilities, and they don't even have the time to actually look at your proposals and get an approval. And you have this choice of taking some decisions, and you can build your product as fast as you can, and you can deliver high speed deliverables. So the advantage of like when you are delivering the product fast is that you develop fast, you deliver it fast, you fail fast, and with those failures you learn fast, and with that learning you can rebuild fast, right? So all of this is like a fast cycle, and with this fast cycle you can gain as much as knowledge within a short span of time. But on the other hand, in the big company, for every decision you have to make, as I said previously, the cost of mistakes, right? So you have to think through like what is the impact on the customers, and what if this goes wrong, and how will the end customer will be impacted, and what kind of approvals you need from your management. So these kind of things will little bit delay the delivery speed, and if you are not interested in such kind of an approval process, or if you want to grow fast in your career, then startup is definitely a right choice for you rather than a big company. I hope I gave you enough information to understand the differences between working for a startup versus working for a big company. And let me know which company do you prefer to work for in the comment section below. And if you like this video, please click the like button below and share this video with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel Sprint Master to get updates of our new videos. Thanks for watching this video. This is Ram signing off.